recipe, something really delicious. I haven't been making a lot of dessert videos, so I kind of want to keep it semi-balanced. So here, what I'm going to have for you today, cannolis. You may think that they're hard to make. They're really not. I would say more tedious than difficult. You know, to get the typical cannoli shape form, you're going to need the tubes, okay? And they come either, I believe it's aluminum, and then the other is a wooden dowel. So it's generally pretty easy. You can make them ahead of time, which I've done. And they last 3 to 5 days in an airtight container. I've never tried it past 5 days, so I can't really attest to the flavor or quality of them. So if you want to go past 5 days and try them, let me know how they are. You know, I don't know. The filling, you want to make that as close to the day you're going to eat them as possible, because that's only been good in the fridge for me for 2 days. And of course, ricotta could be a little expensive, so you don't want it to go to waste. One thing you're going to need also is cheesecloth, because you're going to want to drain the cheese, because it can be kind of runny. And you don't want a runny filling inside of your cannoli shell. That would be horrible. So in the video, I had made a mistake. I had a couple of drinks when I was preparing the dough, and I normally would use 1 egg and an egg yolk, or I believe 1 egg and an egg white. One of those. I believe it's a 1 egg and an egg yolk. Anyway, as I'm explaining in the video on how to put them in, I actually started like straining the yolk into my batter, and I realized, oh crap, I have no choice but to throw the second egg in because I had everything else in there already. But thankfully, my drunken mishap created a much better, crispier cannoli shell. So thank God I was drinking coconut rum, you know, as if the world was going to end yesterday, because it actually created a better shell for me. So you will learn it's better with 2 eggs. Another thing somebody had mentioned was like, yo, in some of your videos you have an accent, some you don't. When you hear a New York accent, I'm usually been drinking when I'm recording that video. You know, anything at that point. Coconut rum, mudslides, Coronas, whatever. I'm usually a little tipsy when you can hear an accent. So if you want to go back and investigate, I don't know, there's probably a couple of them where you can hear an accent. That's probably because I've been drinking. It's not like I'm an alcoholic. I just enjoy, when I'm cooking, to have a couple of glasses of hard liquor or a bottle of beer. I'm going to end this video now because I'm sounding like I have a problem. And alright, let's go on to the next step. I'll show you how easy they are to make. Alright, so let's get started on the cannoli recipe. I've already put my flour in here. As always, the measurements and ingredients are at the bottom of the video in the description box. So I went ahead and started already. I put some flour, some sugar, and some cinnamon. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it up with a whisk. You know, I didn't sift my flour. I hardly do, to be honest. I never notice a difference. I don't know. I just don't want to go through the trouble. So I just mix it up so that the sugar is incorporated with the cinnamon. And this is a very easy recipe. Some of the things you're going to need, which aren't, well, it is in here, but we have the Marsala wine in here, some vinegar and water. And Marsala wine is a sweet tasting wine, which makes it perfect for cannoli shells. We're going to use 1 egg and then an egg yolk, okay? And then we have our shortening for the dough. So what we do first is you take, you know, anything to make like a well in the center. Okay, it's going to be best to do with a stand mixer. You don't have a stand mixer, then you're going to have to do this by hand. So it's the same process, nothing different. When it comes time to kneading it, you're going to have to do that by hand for 8 to 10 minutes, which isn't fun. I will never knead anything for 8 to 10 minutes by hand. I don't have that kind of patience. So you make a well in the center, and that's when you put your, actually, I'm forgetting a step. Horrible. I'm glad I noticed. That's why I'm good at this. So first, you're going to take 3 tablespoons of shortening. That's what I use. You know, I don't know. I've never tried it with butter or anything else, so that'd be your choice to try. And I can't really attest to the quality if you don't use shortening. Just plain shortening, no butter flavor, just plain. And then what you do is you take a pastry blender or a fork, whatever you have, and you cut it into the flour. You know, see what I'm doing here? I'm just kind of doing this. And I keep cutting it into the flour until it turns into like a pea size and you don't feel any big pieces of shortening in the dough. That's when you know that you can stop this process. So what I kind of mix it up a little bit here, and I go in there with my hand and I feel around and see if I need to cut it in some more, just a little bit, okay, and then I cut it in. So now what I do, now I go ahead and make a well in the center. You know, just want to push it all aside and have some space, okay? And what you're going to do now is you're going to put in 1 egg, okay? And then you're going to put in, where's my other egg? Okay. Then you're going to put in a yolk, you know, whichever way you, oh crap, I just put the white in there. After you add in your 2 eggs, you're going to add in your wine mixture with the white vinegar and water, and you're going to mix it around with a fork until it becomes incorporated, okay? Not too hard. You don't want to be rough with it. You just want to mix it around until your dough becomes incorporated with the other ingredients. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. You want to get to the bottom and make sure that it's all kind of generally in there. Okay, you're kind of doing the job of a stand mixer right now. So there you go. It's mostly all incorporated. Alright, so after the ingredients are incorporated, as you see here, what you're going to do is you're going to take your stand mixer and have the hook attachment, and you're going to bring it down. And this is why I say it's so much easier, because all you're doing is putting it on like a low, and you're going to let it knead itself for 8 to 10 minutes. If you need to add in more flour, go ahead and start with like a tablespoon or 2. Same thing with water. But I generally have never had to add in any extra. This is going to shake around a lot because I'm missing like a bottom piece here. I can't find it. So yeah, so basically you're doing this for 8 to 10 minutes. So you know it's done when it easily comes off of the hook, you see? I mean, except for that little piece, but you see how it fell off on its own? That's when you kind of know when your dough is done being kneaded. Obviously, if you're doing it by hand, you would know just by the way it feels. It has kind of like almost like a pizza dough consistency. You don't want to over knead it because it's going to be tough and your shells will be tough and it'll be gross. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take it out of the bowl, you're going to wrap in plastic wrap and refrigerate for an hour or 2. 2 is the optimal amount of time. So keep rolling it out really thin. You'll know when it's thin enough because you can pick it up and then kind of see your hand through it, you know? I don't know if you can kind of see that right there, but once you pick it up and you can see your hand through it, then you know it's thin enough. You can also use a pasta machine. I just didn't want to take it out for this, and when I know that I can kind of quickly roll them. The only thing about a pasta machine is that you'll have it all the same size, whereas this sometimes, you know, it'll one side will be bigger than the other. So your choice. I just don't want to limit people and say you need a pasta machine when you really don't. Alright, so a lot of people don't have it. That would be cruel. So I just go in there and I break it off. It's not the best option because, again, a cookie cutter would work better. And I break them into little circles like this. Then what I do is I take the cannoli shell. I make sure I have a little bit of flour on it, not a lot. And then I wrap it around the cannoli form. So when you're doing that, just going to hold it this way, okay? And you can make them bigger. So if you want yours bigger, you can roll this out to get it bigger. But this is fine for me. So you take a little bit of water because you want to seal it, okay? But when you seal it, be sure that you have the size that you want, because once it's sealed, it's going to get stuck. So you just need to pay attention when you're frying them as well. When you start seeing them get golden, pull them out. Then you put it in the deep fryer, 350 to 375. Just because I'm making them for myself, I'm not worried about how, you know, they look. But this is the reason why you want them paper thin, is because you see those little bubbles. That's when you know that they're going to be light and crispy, okay? But you see how it's not, it doesn't look like a traditional cannoli shell. That's because I just kind of wrap them around the tubes because I'm not worried about. Are you serious? Are you serious? Really? Wow, my husband has jokes. Cut it out, man. What I do is, come on, now I can't even focus. I forgot what I was saying. So now what you do is, if you want it to have that traditional cannoli shape, you pull up from the back. See the back side? You pull it up a little more. And then you pull them up a little more this way. Unless you have like the fluted tubes, then you don't have to worry about that. But you pull them up a little more this way. So that this way, you know, when you fill them, they look nice. Me, I'm not worried. I'm going to eat them myself. But if I was like, you know, giving them away to family or selling them or whatever, I would want them to be perfect. But you just keep pulling them. So I wanted to mention that if you wanted them to have a better look. So I'll show you what that looks like when it comes out so you can see the difference. But that's what you're generally looking for, are the holes. Come on, Ray, get out of here. Oh my God. Jeez, my goodness. So if you remember when I was telling you how to pull the edges back to make it look like a perfect cannoli shell, do you see what it looks like if you do that? Perfectly shaped. So if you want yours to always look perfectly shaped, then that's what you do. If you don't care, then just roll them on and seal them. Okay? Forgot to mention that when you put them around your tubes, flour the tubes before you put them on. I don't know if I said that before, but just in case, so they don't get stuck. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so I totally forgot to record the part where I strain my ricotta cheese, okay? But it's not very hard to understand. I also have mixed in some powdered sugar here. Of course, I'll give you all the proper measurements at the bottom of the video. So I just mixed it until it was all incorporated, and that's all you have to do with the ricotta. I don't waste my pastry bags on this because this is going to be for my friends and family. So I use just regular, you know, storage bags. I put all the filling inside of the bag like this. And then let's say I put it all in, I snip the edge, and that's how I fill these shells. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And that's what you're going to use to fill your cannoli. So of course, you know, when you want it to look nice, you would use, if I, you know, was selling them or, you know, bringing them to a party, what I would do was I'd use a star tip with a pastry bag so it'll come out looking nice. So now if you just want, it's completely filled. So if you just want to dip it in some chocolate chips, you can do that. It's your choice. So this is what they look like. And they're delicious. Creamy inside and very crispy on the outside. Of course, if you're making them for, you know, family, friends, and you want them to look pretty, you would take the steps that I showed you in the video. Alright guys, well, if you enjoy the recipe and the video and, you know, just like me overall, click like on the video, share it, subscribe to my channel, etc., etc. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!